Well, a man in the golden years of his life manages to find time to travel between France and Vietnam, coming back and forth to help the young kids here, the talents here, helping them find scholarships to study, as well as helping them find homes. Our guest today on Talk Vietnam is Dr. Tran Thanh, who is a resident of France, but he still keeps in his heart his homeland of Vietnam.
Physics professor Dr. Tran Thanh was born in 1936 in the central province of Quảng Bình. He left Quảng Bình for France at the age of 16 and won a scientific doctorate degree on particle physics at the reputable University of Sorbonne. When is currently an honorable researcher at the French Scientific Research Center. He has conducted more than 300 scientific studies and written 115 books. He has won international acclamation for his initiative to bring together theoretical and experimental physicists from around the world in Meeting of Morion, an event that has grown from being a gathering of around 20 friends in 1966 to an annual retreat for scientists. It was Professor Tran Thanh who took the initiative to bridge Vietnamese and world scientists through Găng Công to Vietnam, an event that started in 1993 to stimulate the growth of Vietnam's physics. The French-Vietnamese scientist is the winner of the French Legion of Honor Medal and a series of honors for his contribution to world science. Most recently, Professor Van and his wife, Dr. Lê Kim Ngọc, have been awarded a Certificate of Merit by the Vietnamese government in recognition of his contribution in assisting Vietnam's science sector to merge with international community.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Van. Now, I want to talk about the reason why you're here, which is the International Physics Olympiad, which is going on in Vietnam. It's hosted here in Vietnam. Now, in 2007, the country was also successful in organizing another Olympiad, but it was the Mathematics Olympiad, which is another science. What do you think is the significance behind Vietnam hosting events such as these?
I have seen that in order to organize such kind of Olympiad, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. Myself, I have organized many conferences, small, but still a small conference is already a very, very big work. And here, it is something, I must say, it is extremely well organized, very well done. The Vietnamese students in physics, art, in mathematics, they have shown a lot of capacity, and we have many gold medals. I have been following very closely one of the young people with the name Tran Thanh, who has gold medal for 2 times in physics when he was in 11th grade. After that, he came to Moscow to his university. Now he is a professor in United States. He is professor in University of Washington in Seattle, and he is very well-known physicist. And I think all of that means that Vietnam has a lot of young talent. And the fact that the international committee chose Vietnam for these 2 events means that they recognize that Vietnam has a lot of good people and it is normal. Yeah.
It has a lot of potential. Vietnam, the country, has a lot of potential. Now, yourself, you've been a successful scientist and well-known around the world, but one thing that you've done is to connect Vietnamese scientists with international scientists, as we'll meet international scientists later in the program today. But why did you decide to be this bridge? Why did you decide to bring scientists from around the world and Vietnam together?
In 1966, let me say 42 years ago, I have created a series of conferences called the Hong Kong de Morion, which precisely invite people from different fields or people in the same field, but they are experimentalists or in theories, in order that these 2 kinds of people can talk to each other and exchange. Yeah. And for me, the fact that to be a bridge between the 2 persons or 2 communities is one of the forces which is behind me. Let me say that in 1990, Professor Hill, who is here, has asked me to help Vietnam in order to bring foreign professors to come to Vietnam. But at that time, as precisely I have said, there was no possibility to go from one town to another one, and it was very difficult to explain to foreign professors that in Vietnam we do not have the right to go from Saigon to Hanoi and so on. And it is why we have waited until 1993, when precisely the travel regulation is much better, in order that we organized together with Professor Hill the first international conference in physics and in astrophysics in Hanoi.
In March 2006, 400 scientists from the four corners of the world gathered in La Tuile, an area near the border between France and Italy, to discuss fundamental questions in high-energy physics and astrophysics. The meeting also marked the 40th celebration of Gantom de Mugyong, an annual gathering initiated and presided over by Professor Tran Thanh. At this event, international scientists show their respect and gratitude to Professor Ven, who created Gantom de Mugyong as a true interdisciplinary institution where specialists in theoretical and experimental physics can meet and exchange ideas. It was Ven who connected Russian scientists with the rest of the world during the Cold War in the 1970s. Ven won the honorable doctorate degree from the Russian Science Academy for this contribution.
At that time, indeed, the world was separated in two parts, and there was very little communication between these parts. However, science in general and moral meetings in particular provided the possibility for people to meet each other, to discuss not only scientific things.
I've come to these conferences not since the very beginning. I think I came the first time in 1968, and maybe these conferences started in 1966 already, but I've come very often, almost every year since that time, because they've been a very good way in order to learn about what was happening in the field of particle physics during the year before that, and to discuss with colleagues, to learn what was happening. And they played, as time went on, a more and more important role in the possibility of physicists to talk to each other.
The Gantom de Mugyong has stimulated the creation of other meetings organized in the same spirit. The Gantom du Vietnam, which started in 1993, has the explicit aim of helping Vietnam realize its great potential. These meetings offer a forum in which scientists from Asia and the West can meet, present their work, and forge new collaborations. More importantly, Dr. Ven often invites Nobel laureates to his home country every time he came back to Vietnam. In 2006, two Nobel laureates, Professors James Cronin and Klaus von Clising, visited Vietnam. Most recently, Ven successfully invited American Professor Jerome Friedman to join the 39th International Physics Olympiad, which took place in Vietnam from July the 20th to the 29th. The scientists believe the presence of the Nobel laureates will be a source of encouragement for the Vietnamese students to strive hard to contribute to the development of the world and Vietnam science.
Well, most recently, Dr. Ven was also successful in